Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Orb episode 10 titled Truth. And we're a little bit off schedule. Today is Tuesday as opposed to Wednesday, the usual Orb day, but I didn't record an Orb episode last week, so I'm using today, with free run being done, to catch up just a little bit. And my general game plan is to Orb an Orb today and then Orb an Orb tomorrow so that we end up fully double orbed and back on track and on schedule and stuff. So that's the plan. I don't know if it'll actually work. We'll see how tomorrow goes, but that's the game that we're playing here. Our trio has come together, and they have acquired a great and powerful tool. They have acquired Count PS JSTOR password, and also maybe his LexisNexis add-in, login. So now we have access to all the journals ever published, all the scientific research you could ever want for one low monthly fee, as long as you're associated with an educational institution. Otherwise, it's exorbitantly expensive. Anyone who's ever worked with JSTOR or LexisNexis knows exactly what I'm talking about. But we have access to it now. We have sole access to all the fucking the historical archive and all the secret books and documents and stuff, and I'm really excited to find out what's in there, and also just to see how our characters interact with that, how Badeni gets influenced by it. Oh, seems really interesting. And then one other really cool personal thing is that Oxy has asked Yolenta to teach him how to read, and I'm really excited for that subplot to bloom, to grow up and turn into whatever it's going to turn into. It fits so perfectly with my own philosophies around information transfer between humans and stuff like that, and my own sort of love for our mediums of information storage, whether those are writing or manga or anime or any number of other things. I'm fascinated by humanity's ability to pass things down or pass things across and spread ideas from one person to another, and these incredible technologies that we have developed over time to make that happen, and just the impact that they have on people's lives. So I'm really excited to see Oxy, this illiterate, relatively hopeless feeling person, to have worlds open up to him, as Yolenta describes, and to see so much further than what he's been able to see, even with his own wonderful eyesight, right? It's a different kind of vision. And I'm just really excited for that. So I'm excited for Badeni interacting with the thinkers of old and historical literature. That's really interesting. Oxy interacting with reading as a whole, with the idea of knowledge as a whole and the power of it as a whole. And then the floating questions. How's Novak going to get involved? When are things going to start getting scary? Because they are. At some point. You don't spend fucking 8 episodes or whatever building up how terrifying the church is when you're doing heretical shit in order to have your characters do heretical shit and not come up against the church. It's gonna happen. But when? How? How will we be caught? How will we be suspected in the first place? Because we've got an inn right now. We're working in Count PS's laboratory, effectively. Like, nobody's against us. We have, we are allowed to be doing this up to a point. Where's that point, and when does it turn a little darker, a little bit scarier? Maybe not this episode, since it's titled Truth, but maybe soon. It feels like things have been going pretty well for a little while, and I'm a little scared. So, I think that's my whole spiel here at the beginning of Orb episode 10. Let me draw something. 15. Inspiration from what is it? Berserk Godhand Bail It thing, you know? I had this feeling or this idea when I saw the end scene with Piast's hand reaching up, sort of clutching at the book, and in this case, it's just clutching at the little circle thing, but now I've switched it with the Bail It, and so it's the creepy god hand holding the Bail It. It feels just right to me, and there's sort of a weird parallel because there's this object that leads people into a new world, you might say, or like into a new perspective, and it kind of carries fate with it and stuff. So this is a fun little scribble. Fun. I'm still experimenting with the brush pen and figuring stuff out. Sometimes I have a like real trouble, like when I did the circle around here, getting it to be stable, and I just need to practice. I just need to practice mark making so that I've got more stability and control over like thickness and line smoothness and stuff. But pretty fun, pretty cool, pretty neat. Okay, let's go ahead and watch episode 10 of Orb and find out what's next in store for our little trio of heroes and their path to truth. We'll see. I've got Orb episode 10 up and ready to go. There'll be 2 versions, picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube, early access on the Patreon, and a beep beep timer to count you down. Let's go. Nando demo. Poof. Let's a spooky color tone for reasons. Oh, he's reading. Books? Okay. He's mad about it? Oh, dude, come on. It's not meant for you. Uh... yeah, for special people. That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be AI slop everywhere. Fuck you, gatekeeping. But I want to, though. Yeah! Huh. 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 And with no credit to you either? Huh. I wonder what he's actually thinking. Or if he's scared that they'll get caught because of it. Why? Yeah! Because I learned that writing exists and it's cool. You really look down on him, huh? No! Fuck you! You can't burn my pages! What a dingle dongle. Because God wanted them to be shiny, bitch. Because God wanted them to be shiny, bitch. Hey, why are rainbows multicolored? Oh. He's fine. He's fine. He's just in a coma from information. Oh, okay. Hey. But why are rainbows rainbows? I wonder if he knows. Ooh. Payment in kind. He's just going into microtext. It's gay. It's gay. Yeah, but why though? We'll get a glass of water and shine the sunlight through it. Oh, he's got an interest in untoward things. Is he asking for access? Of course. Hmm. Always have to catch yourself. Always have to catch yourself and say something to qualify. Hard no. Prick. Prick. Oh. Hmm. He keeps turning down these people that have genuine love for this stuff. Hmm. True. Is this going to somehow get us in trouble? But he doesn't think of it that way. Hmm. I wonder where this is going. Oh, just losing himself. Ooh, I wonder if it'll be the real story or it's been embellished over time. That's true. I don't think that's true. Wait, did he have the scar before he was... Shit, I don't remember. You mean he killed someone? But is that true? Or is this just the kind of story that people make up about a weird guy with a weird scar? I thought it happened during his torture. Like with the arm beatings and stuff. I gotta go back to the previous episode to see if he has the scar earlier. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking, my guy? This is a really strange episode already. Gonna ask? Oh, that does seem to be true. Hmm. Hmm. But he does discard that every time he turns somebody who wants to be interested in reading and writing. Okay. Unnecessary. Hmm. 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 Truth above immorality, huh? Another story, maybe? Hmm. He's gonna run into them, isn't he? Oh! Have we closed it? Or is it because of Piest's death? Yeah, there's that thinking again. It's like, oh, something went bad, but ding 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 ding. That was Piest's book. Huh. Oh, okay, it's Oxy. He's full reading, dude. We just sort of skipped over the reading part, the learning part, which is sad. Why do you have a shovel? I don't think so. I think she'll be back, dude. Huh? That's a long way, isn't it? Hi. Too many doesn't have audiobooks. So he could read while he's going. Wait, he's gonna make a trade! He's gonna make a trade just like Badeni always does. That's cool. You gotta respect it though, Badeni. Come on. You gotta respect it. Oh, I'm a hungry boy. Oh. Oh, there we go. We're building up on that piece that I was uncertain about. He still wants to do it. It's not necessarily about getting to heaven, is it? Oh. Interesting. Is he gonna come to figure out ellipses? He may have altered them to match what he thought they were. Maybe. You need more observations. Oh! Oh! Like a string. Even with 2 centers? An ellipse. Oh! With 2 center points. I didn't think of that. Of course it would. Yeah, that makes sense. It's so cool watching him figure stuff out. Oh, this is him puking. This is that scene. It's emotional. Oh! Oh, Badeni. He sees it. He sees the possibility. The door is open. Is that the book that Oxy was? Yeah, he transcends those boundaries. He's not a peasant, he's a human. He's finding himself invested in it, huh? The beggars? Oh, shit. Hmm. Inside your mind. Why does he give it to your homies? What's he planning with the homeless guys? What's he planning with the beggars? Their minds. Okay, he's digging a tunnel. He's building a treatise. Get all these pieces moving. We got bread for the poor. What's happening? He's full writing too. I'm sad that we skipped over that. Did he finish? Did he finish? I'm done. He's done. There's our glowy scene again. Fiend? Boop deep dip. Oh, no. We got more. Okay. A new crop. We haven't met this bishop yet, have we? I'm scared. Ooh. He scares the shit out of me. And for good reason! Hmm. Mm-hmm. The bastion of civilization. Yeah, but some people don't like us for some reason. Weirdos. Cool scene. Hmm. We'll save them. With fire. Purge the demons and sins from them. Okay, here's our conflict. Oi! Yeah. Oh, that was fun. It's cool to bring the conflict, the like antagonistic party in their own words, you know? Not to paint them from the outside or anything like that, but to get the indoctrination from the horse's mouth, you know? I like that. I think that's cool. This episode is kind of all over the place. I'm not sure what to think of it, but there's some cool things here that I definitely like. Some things that I just don't know where they're going. She's definitely not gone. She'll definitely be back. I believe that Yolenta's gonna be back. No shot. No shot that she's gone, especially with the Novak thing. Come on. Come on. Okay, I really like the end scene where we are introduced to these young inquisitors. It looks like a couple years before present day, present time. But we're introduced to these young inquisitors through the performance, through the big speech given to them to bring them in and make them feel their like association, their connection to the church and to their path, and like the whole justification, the moral need, the necessity to drive out and stamp out the heretics lest they bring back this age of darkness and uncertainty. And then the positioning of the church as the sole ray of hope, the one bastion of goodness fighting against a world of chaos and darkness. Ooh, it's good stuff. It's good. I mean, good stuff in that it clearly describes their perspective and clashes in lots of ways with the perspective that we've built over the course of the show. And there are a couple of things like that in this episode from Badeni and in his interactions with Oxy and about writing that are like characters presenting perspectives that I think are directly in opposition with the core concepts of the show, the core thematic stuff. And there's an intent there, right? There's a real intent there. And I'm really wondering if those ideas, particularly in Badeni, will shift over the course of the episode. They do in this one in ways that aren't quite clear to me. He ends up reading a bunch of Oxy's book, and then it seems like he changes his mind about Oxy giving alms to the poor, like giving bread to the poor, because of something that he read in the book, but it's unclear to us what it was. There are a bunch of things like that in the episode where characters make a shift, and it's not quite obvious why that shift has occurred. Beyond that, the discovery of elliptical orbits and stuff is really freaking neat. There's like a bunch jam-packed into this episode. And there are a bunch of like interesting odd things. Like a whole chunk of the episode is from the perspective of the dark-haired monk, the guy who's teaching here and comes to ask Badeni about stuff. And I'm not really sure how to read into it. He's got this really deep interest in this particular poet, and he's told by Badeni, one, no, I'm not somebody who shares my knowledge, but two, it's not worth it. And he uses the same argument about like not being capable, not having the capacity or being chosen, essentially, that he used to Oxy, but it doesn't ring as true because this guy is an educated man. He's a man of the cloth and man of the church and stuff. So it's more Badeni gatekeeping, right? Putting walls up. Yeah, that piece is really interesting. I think in part because I carry a very like universalist perspective toward information, toward knowledge. I think that it is fundamentally possible for anyone to understand almost anything. Once you get into like detailed scientific fields and stuff where you got to have like a big buildup of knowledge to get to the particulars of the knowledge, that's a little more difficult. Like math building up, it is much harder. But in terms of access to knowledge, to books, to stories, to things that say stuff, almost every human being is capable of doing that, is capable of at least reading and interacting with that material. And so it's only external forces, like the forces of people preventing others from reading, that prevent others from reading. And then we have this discussion at the very end about, like, the priest said, the bishop says, like, they incorrectly speak about freedom and instead they're following something else. But to me, that information is freedom. That ability to access any information is what freedom means, because it's freedom of thought and freedom of access. So there are like all these little internal conflicts and ways in which Badeni almost sort of still is aligned with the church's ideologies and has his own as well, that are sort of individualistic and sort of great man theory-esque, and it's a whole bunch of sort of conflicting ideas. It feels like a big stew of these interesting ideas, and it feels like some of those ideas within the minds of the characters are in process of shifting and changing and growing. And I'm really intrigued to see if they grow into something coherent, because at this point it's just that feeling as though they're shifting, and I'm not exactly sure what they are, what they mean. Okay, let's go through the episode and highlight the parts that I'm really interested in, and also maybe try to answer some of the questions that I have as we go through this. I've got some questions about Badeni's scars, and I want to go back a couple episodes to see him in previous scenes and see when his scars appeared, because I don't remember. Oxy already reading and writing. So I said it a couple times while it was happening. It does sadden me that we don't spend time with Yolenta learning to read, because I think that struggle and success over the course of weeks or months or whatever would be very valuable, would be really cool to see. But it's fair. I guess I can kind of like write it in my head, so I don't really need it to be on screen, and it's maybe more efficient that we move through this way. Clunk. Hey, by the way, I need this barn now. Hey, wait, why are you reading? Nunny? Unbelievable. How could she possibly do such a thing, teaching the written word to someone of your class? Look, you don't get it. It's a good thing that most people don't have access to this information. All it would do is like confuse them and muddy the waters, and there'd be a bunch of unimportant stuff written to be all garbage, which, you know, you look at self-publishing via Amazon Kindle, and yeah, there's a bajillion pieces of shit. But every time that there has been an increase in the accessibility of the written word, it has led to profound distribution of information, but they'll also then profound emergent new theories, things being clicked together, new discoveries, stuff being found, and stuff being pieced together from disparate fields is like one of the most critical things. Because, well, it's like what I said before about all that stacked up knowledge. You have to invest yourself really heavily into one particular field to stack up all the knowledge necessary to make any really interesting discoveries. But then you can disseminate that information in a more accessible manner to people who are outside of that field. And very often, those big discoveries in one field have mirror discoveries or reflected discoveries in other fields. Like if you discover something big in math, it's going to have echoing implications for physics and chemistry and all sorts of other things. And the same goes for like history or theology or anything else. Having more information spread more, I think, is fundamentally good. There's a point at which it becomes chaos and you can't sort through it and you're not going to be able to find what you're looking for and stuff, but I don't see that happening. I agree with this sentiment that to leave something behind is a heavy responsibility. There's, I think of this when I think about making YouTube videos. I don't ever want to make a YouTube video that wastes somebody's time, okay? That doesn't have anything to it, that just exists for the sake of its own existence. I don't ever want to make things like that, because, like, what a waste. It is, I feel like, a heavy responsibility. And if you're going to put something out there that takes time for somebody to interact with, then I think there's a responsibility to make it worth interacting with, to make it worthwhile. So I agree with this in one way. If you are going to write a book and publish it, put effort into making it worthwhile for the person who picks it up to read. Not just for the money that they spend, but for the time that they spend engaged with it. Do what you can to make that time worthwhile. But that doesn't lead me to the conclusion, because it's such a heavy responsibility, only those that have been vetted by some system should be allowed to do it. I don't think so. I think it's individual. It's up to each person. But I see where he's coming from. And yet, at the same time, he's just internalized all these beliefs, and we can tell that a piece of why he's internalized them is because they intrinsically praise him, right? They say, only certain special people should be able to read. And you, Badeni, are one of those super special people. And so you should protect that right of special people to be the only ones who read, you know? It's classism. It's straightforward. Unreliable information would flood the world, a dire situation. And besides, what use do you have for it? You didn't even have access to this stuff anyway. Like, what do you... He just sort of shotguns all of his internal arguments, and none of them really land that well. And Badeni, or Oxy, comes back with a little bit of excitement, a little bit uncertain, a little bit nervous about saying it, but a little bit of excitement. I'm thinking of writing a book. Huh? Well, I'm not going to make it public or anything, just a diary. A writing about the work that we've done so far. Huh? So it would be more like a story. Hold on. And just gets overwhelmed. Why? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to write about these months? And beyond that, like, why would you write down a list of all the crimes that we've done? And why now? And then he gives up. He doesn't actually follow through on finding an answer to the question, which is too bad because I would have loved to see what Oxy would have come up with when pressed, because I don't think he has a conscious answer to this. I think, like many of the decisions that we make as humans, we think of ourselves as conscious deciding creatures, but we are more riding a wave and then pretending that we were in control of the wave the whole time. That's more accurate to the way that we make decisions and then backward justify them. And there are bunch of really interesting psych studies. I can't pull one out of my brain off the top of my head that demonstrate this, that demonstrate that the way that we choose is mostly false, that we come up with our reasons for choosing things to tell ourselves a story that makes sense and maintains our identity as a person rather than actually coming up with reasonings before doing a thing and then going and doing it. Like you can consciously come up with reasons to do things. And if you make yourself do it, you will recognize how different it is from your normal decision process. Like, whatever you're thinking about, going out to eat or whatever, where do you want to go out to eat tonight? Write down a list of all the pros and cons and the reasons why you'd want to go to one place or another place, or eat out or eat in, or buy food and make it at home, or go out and buy something from a taco truck. Like, write out all the reasons and recognize that you've never ever done that in your entire life for that kind of a problem or that kind of a decision. Why does Oxy want to go and write a book? Because he has some coherent idea of books are good and cool, and I want to be involved in the cohesive process of passing information down. I want to create a record of what we've done so that I don't die when I die, or what. He doesn't have any of that. It's not there. And that's evident when Badeni presses him. It's not there. He just wants to do it. I think that's powerful. I think that's important. And I think that there's a danger in pure reason or pure rationalism that you invalidate human things. To want to do something is a human thing. To want to do it without really having a great justification for it, deeply human. But if you're purely rational, you will cut yourself off from things like that because they don't obviously equal utils, you know? They don't obviously turn into something. But they do turn into something. Without that kind of inspiration, we would not have artists. We would not have authors. So I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of cool. I think that it's important to have it here in sort of contrast with Badeni's I am so rational, do sort of mindset. Is this like, I don't really know why I'm doing this. It feels important to me. And I'll say one last thing on this topic, which is that in my experience, in my life, the things that I've done that I wanted to do without having a justification or a reason for it have often turned into the best things long term. The things that have given me the most fulfillment or turned into opened doors that I didn't expect. I have a few of them going right now, right? Like the drawings are a thing that's like that. Like I couldn't tell you exactly why I started doing those. It's a complex of things. I'm fascinated by it. I'm compelled by it. I'm not capable of it, right? Like it's something that's beyond me and that intrigues me. Is it going somewhere in particular? I don't know, but it might open a door for me years down the line that would never have been otherwise, and it might be the right door. That's how I see how I see it, and so in that context, I see Badeni's putting up walls, like you don't do things unless there's a purpose to them, as being a bit of a foolish way of going about things. And I have to wonder if after reading the book and then changing his mind about the bread and going and talking to the beggars, if Badeni came to that conclusion too, or if he just saw an opportunity to exploit the beggars in some way, for whatever's going on inside their minds. But even then, I have to wonder, would Badeni have done that beforehand? Or has he already been convinced that there actually might not be that much difference between the minds of peasants and the minds of high-class scholars? And he may have just realized that he can tap the brain power of a totally untapped group of people. I'm wondering if that's what he's doing with the peasant. We'll have to find out soon. Maybe. Oh, he's so condescending. Oh, never mind. You won't even be able to write much anyway. And if you do, I'll burn your pages. But I don't think he will. Could you please leave? And we cut over to Graoski. Okay. This is interesting. We've got another character whose explanations for things based in the scripture fall flat. They don't equal up. He has the answer, right? The scripture answer. It's like, because God said it would be that way. And he's satisfied, or the people are satisfied with that, but he's unsatisfied with it. And that's an interesting and kind of new perspective. It's like Potocki, maybe, but Potocki was very good at keeping his walls and his mask up and not indicating that he had any sort of doubt or disbelief in what he was preaching. But Grabowski does have some uncertainty, yeah? And he does this, oh, what is it that he does? He does this mental gymnastic game where he comes to justify not pursuing something that he really cares about because it would be overstepping. We'll get to it in a minute. I want to point that out. Okay, why does God make rainbows? Because he wants us to be proud of ourselves for dealing with the rain. Okay, so why are they colorful? Because they're shiny. We find Badeni fully passed out on the floor, just zonking. Hey, so why do rainbows make colors? And Badeni won't tell him for free. This is sort of a weird through line through the episode between Badeni and him, and then there's another one, and then there's Oxy and Badeni. It's all these little trades, all these little like, yeah, but I'm not going to do it for free. What are you going to give me for it? It's interesting. Very well. Extra ink and paper. He already knows what he wants. And then Badeni rattles this off like it's the side effects on a drug advertisement. Rainbows occur when a sunlight passes through a special one, which says everything, but also doesn't say anything. It doesn't explain like splitting of light into different wavelengths or any of that because we don't know. It just is a special bond between water in the air and the atmosphere, I guess. Wow. Oh, yeah, fascinating. And so how do I say that? How do I tell the kids this? And then he asks him about Epicurus. Ah, and then this starts happening. Yes, I had reason to do so recently. Of course, it was only to refute his pagan bullshit. And then they go back and forth doing that a couple of times. Like, have you read Lucretius? My only interest is, to support the church, of course. I think that's so interesting. I think it weakens you severely psychologically when you have to make these qualifying statements that attach to everything. It's like, oh, but I'm not actually interested in this. I'm just blah, 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 blah. It's like talking about any taboo in those terms just sort of builds it up to be more. Have you read Lucretius too? Well, yes. Well, yeah, I actually really like his gestures here. They feel like a little bit in that sort of nervous mode. It's like, well, I mean, joined in order to read his work. But of course it's to help the church. Why? Why Lucretius? I'm wondering if this has any play in. Why Lucretius? Because so many learned men quote him. It's said that his poems are inspiring, and yet they're heretical, right? And yet many learned men, many of whom will not be considered heretical, are still inspired by Lucretius, right? Doesn't doesn't that fold into the, like, improper minds or, like, the class not allowed to do this or certain people shouldn't be allowed to create idea? It's like, yeah, but even this heretic who wrote things against the church is still useful in some way in his inspiration to people who have come after him. There's something to that I find compelling. Oh, but of course I'm wary. Could you share? No. I'm not going to share knowledge. I despise it. When commoners seek knowledge, it leads to tragedy. An ordinary person without the qualifications has no need for it. Excuse me. Which is kind of fucked up, because this guy is a member of the cloth and not a normal person with 0 qualifications, right? His attitude is intolerable. Okay, so this is where we get our first example of Graoski's internal loop. I can't take it, but Badeni's attitude is intolerable, and then he comes up with, like, a scriptural justification for it. How can a disciple of the church be so arrogant? Far too prejudiced. Every individual has a purpose. So he's got this sort of more altruistic perspective. Everyone in their place. And then he stops, and then applies that logic to Badeni. Then Badeni has a purpose too. But that seems so broadly justifying, doesn't it? It's identically justifying to it's all part of God's plan. Identical justification, isn't it? Any person has a purpose, even if they're an asshole mass murderer, right? Still has a purpose, right? Everybody has a purpose. It's all part of God's plan. Shrug. Move on. That's very powerful for handling shit that's, well, what does he say? Intolerable? Intolerable. If you have to handle shit that's intolerable and you actually don't have the power to do anything about it, you just have to tolerate it, and having a justification that helps you do that can be very helpful. So that may be exactly what's going on here. It's similar if we had a character who was a true believer in this show, who was in deep poverty. They might have a similar sort of situation. They might be like, it's intolerable for me to live in poverty. However, it's part of God's plan. This is just the way that this shitty world is. Tolerated, right? I can't do anything about it. God made it this way. This is my purpose in the world somehow. I'm suffering at the behest of God. That's fine. Ugh. And then he brings in the moralizations. I may disapprove, but I cannot be wrathful toward a neighbor. And so puts the eye of spiritual misconduct, like of judgment upon himself instead of upon Badeni. This is the loop that he goes into. He sees something wrong in the world. Badeni's acting like a fucking prick, right? He's intolerable. And then he comes up with a spiritual justification for it. Actually, that's probably his purpose on this planet, because he's here because of God. And then he turns his attitude toward himself as like, man, I should be really ashamed of thinking about Badeni that way. That's not very godly of me. Not very good of me to be wrathful toward a neighbor. And then finishes it off with, there is much for me to learn from this situation. This is, like, cool, humble, right? Very humble, very much a continuous learner perspective. But it also completely tamps down on any sort of emotional upset, any real thing that would drive him to action or do anything. It just serves as like a buffer or a barrier, a dampener on his real emotions, a way to shut down and justify not saying anything about the situation that he's in. Kind of fucked up. Yeah? Remember my role. Focus only on my role. Why would I need all that knowledge? Why should I want to? And then we get drifting off. Do you all want to hear the story of how Badeni got that scar on his face? And everybody's interested. And they tell the story. So before he took the cloth, he attended a private school. His close friend also attended. He performed joint research, shared information. But that friend stole credit. Badeni confronted him. His friend challenged him to a duel. And Badeni, by necessity, must have survived that duel and killed his friend, leaving him scarred and a killer in the clergy. Okay, let's go to where we had Badeni in school. And I'm wondering if that is, because that's post being a member of the church, right? Let's find out. Okay, he already had the scars. He hadn't lost his eye. But he already had the 2 primary scars. Okay, so the story appears to be true. It seems to be because that's how, like, the way that Badeni responds to it indicates that it is true. But yeah, so at that private school, he got into this fight. From Badeni himself, I asked and he told me. If the duel happened before he joined, they will overlook it. And now all the villagers pull away from Badeni because they find him frightening. He's a killer. So he runs into Badeni and confronts him, asks him about it. That must have been painful. We were close after all. Wow. Wow. Why do you still do research if that was such a painful experience? I've been given potential and I don't want to waste it. Thanks to that, I could even be present at a moment of historical significance. But this thirst for knowledge are without limit, and it will eventually, he just runs down the church perspective. And the answer is, but the world is already full of immoral behavior. And the only thing that will cut through that is the truth. What do you think is necessary? Truth. Same answer as last episode. Same answer as the shining sword, you know? It seems to me that Badeni is saying that even if it does lead to immoral behavior, if it comes to the truth, then that will cut through and actually change that world. I don't know. Then again, I'm not interested in doing things for the world's sake, right? And that's another little internal conflict. He'll say outwardly that the reason for doing this is to change the world and for the sake of the world, but then he'll say in the same breath, I'm not doing this for the world, I'm doing this for me. Or I'm doing this for the truth itself. It's unclear. So he goes to visit the library to learn some things and finds it closed. I wonder why it is closed today. Is it because of Piast's death? I think so. And he finds Piast's journal. Right? That's what that is? Ruh-roh. What were the last lines that Piast wrote in his journal? It's completely unclear, except that he believes that he found the truth at the end. So I'm thinking that the very last page of Piast's book contains an outline of a heliocentric view, which now Graoski has in hand, which he could then potentially connect to Badeni, and thereby bring Novak into things and get him in a bunch of trouble. I'm thinking that's where this might be going. Okay. So Badeni keeps working on it, Oxy is reading and writing, Piast is gone. Yolenta has pulled away. Please dig a tunnel from the barn to the church, an escape path. And he negotiates with them. Let's go, Oxy, he's learning. More food for the beggars. It's a waste. It won't bring you closer to heaven. And Oxy says nothing, as though that's not the reason he's doing it. I don't think it is the reason he's doing it. I think it brings heaven closer to here. That's what I think it does. I don't know if that's the conclusion that Badeni has come to. I don't think so. I think he's being manipulative. I think what he's doing with the beggar, whatever it is manipulative. It's for his own gain. It's for a purpose. But I don't think Oxy is giving bread to the beggars for his own gain. At least not, except in the like, there is no altruism, it all comes back around to you in some sense sort of way, which I don't really buy necessarily, but is fair enough from a psychological perspective. I think Oxy is doing it because there's something fundamental about doing something good for other people. And he's learned that now that his eyes are open. But I'm not sure. He was interested in it from the very start. He was pulled by the beggars. Rations are fixed, but then he'll change his mind later. How interesting. I really like this one frame. Just the shadows on him, it just feels good. The records might be imperfect. And then the necklace strung up around two centers opens his eyes and he realizes it. That's so cool. An ellipse. He's got it. And from that, he ends up retching on the floor and then pounding his fist into the wall and then praying, I may have it. Incredible emotion from Badeni there. And the little giggles. And then he finds the book and ends up seemingly reading through a bunch of it. What a strange person. Why does he do these? I really don't understand peasants. But then he keeps reading. Until morning. We just cut to morning. And then does something very strange. I promise that he will continue to give you bread. In return, I want what's up in here. Huh? Huh? I don't know. Keep working. We do this montage through until it's done. Badeni has arrived. You can have the barn back. It is done. The theory is complete. I thought we were going to full end there, but instead we do this stinger portion that is just a speech about the meaning of the church, how the church positions itself, why we can't let it slip away. We are the light. We are the light. Ah, there you go. He terrifies me. This lovely old grandfatherly dude scares the shit out of me. How crazy is that? And I could not tell you why. Connect it to the fall of Rome, our goal of spreading, of binding. But some people don't like us for some reason. So what they will do is speak misguidedly of freedom, break down morality and ethics, abandon salvation and hope, and pull the people apart. I really like this scene with the little angel rays and his gestures. I think it's cool. We have to save them. We have to save them. Can't let them get burned up in hell. We'll have to burn them here. We cannot let such an age fall upon us again. This is such a grand duty. To fight against the encroaching darkness, right? And we, Badeni and Oxy and Yolenta, we're the darkness. We're the ones who upset everything, who threaten everything. Cool. So now we're really starting to set up this conflict. I think they're moving toward each other with a little bit of speed. I'm wondering if these two younger inquisitors are the ones who are going to end up, in our orbit, pun intended. Whoa, okay. This is a cool place to shift through in Orb. We come to a completion of the treatise. We're digging this escape tunnel that will probably be used fairly soon, given how things seem to be ramping up. And now we build up the Inquisition. Okay, cool. I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks so much for watching this week's episode of Orb with me. We'll have another one tomorrow, so double 2 episodes of the week. I don't know. And I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how this all connects next time on Orb. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time on the next one. It'll be a little early on the Patreon, just for a day, I guess. Or I guess this one will be up on YouTube a week before the next one goes up on YouTube, so it'll be kind of normal feeling. Anyway, I'll see you there. Much love. Peace.